Hello? It's your higher self calling. Yes? You've been ignoring their calls? They said you've been ignoring their calls. Don't you know your higher self is always trying to communicate with you? Your guardian angels have been banging their heads against the wall, trying to get you to listen, trying to get you to pay attention. Now look at the mess you're in. Now look at this mess. First things first, who is the higher self? I mean, sometimes when you get a call from a restricted number, you won't answer it because you don't know who's calling. And so if you don't know who the higher self is, well, then maybe it makes sense that you have been ignoring them. But now you will have no excuses. You see, we live in between these two polar opposite realities. The physical reality of temporariness, of limitation, of change, and the internal realm, which is the eternal, it is the infinite, and it is the formless reality. Now imagine if you had connected to you a spiritual umbilical cord. Umbilical cord. My words are not pronouncing today. Umbilical. Most people only know themselves as this human body or as this mind. They place their identity upon the body-mind. But in truth, from this physical reality all the way to the eternal, there is this umbilical cord that attaches us to the source. This is the source of our life, and our body is like just the outer shell of that. It's the outer reflection of the true nature of what we really are. And as you enter into the physical world, you become more and more unique, and as you return back to the eternal, you become more and more universal. We do not only live in this physical reality, in this physical form, but we exist all along that umbilical cord, different parts of ourselves that express themselves based on the nature of their environment. So we have a physical expression as this human body in this physical world, but there is also an expression of ourselves that is much deeper, that is closer to the realm of the eternal. And so the map of our being is as such. We have the body in the physical reality. We have consciousness that is eternal, infinite, unconditioned, pure life, pure energy. It is the divine essence of God that we are. And in between these two, you could say, is the mind. The mind is like the gateway that bridges the eternal to the temporary, the infinite to the limited. And in between the mind and consciousness, you have what you could call the soul. It is consciousness that has begun to become more conditioned, more unique. It is expressing itself in a unique tendency, a unique form. Now the soul is not limited by the boundaries of space and time, like the body is. So imagine the game of life like this. You are an eternal soul that uses a mind and that uses a body to experience life. The soul uses the mind and body to express itself in a unique way. And when the body dies, as consciousness retracts in the moment of death, you enter back into the eternal, the infinite realm, beyond the boundaries of space and time. And now your soul, the true nature of what you are, can choose to incarnate into another body and express itself in a new and unique way. Our soul is on an eternal journey, hopping from planet to planet, from incarnation to incarnation, with our body being nothing more than temporary clothes that we wear. But so long as we are in this body, in this mind, we are forced to play this individual character. And so what the higher self is, it's you from the perspective beyond space and time, one who has already lived through an infinite number of incarnations of different forms. You could say it is you from the future. And this higher self you from the future is helping to guide you through this current incarnation, because it has already lived your life. So all the time, in these subtle and sometimes not so subtle ways, the higher self is nudging you in these different directions, planting thoughts, influencing your actions, creating experiences for you to enjoy, for you to grow, for you to expand. And it's always there whether you realize it or not. See, from this limited human perspective, we focus on pursuing pleasure and avoiding pain, but the higher self only cares about self-discovery and expansion. It cares about experience for experience's sake. And so the first lesson to understand is that everything that you experience in this life is exactly designed specifically for you, for your highest spiritual growth, for your highest expansion. And any idea, any judgment of yourself about whether or not you've lived a good life, whether or not you have lived right or wrong, good or bad, the contents of your experience in this life are not the point, but that you have taken this current incarnation because, for whatever reason, the experiences that you go through in this life are exactly what you need in order to expand higher, in order to let go and become free from attachments, to learn and explore yourself. And so recognize that every day, every moment of your life, the higher self is communicating with you, especially during the difficult times, during the times where you are struggling or suffering, because there is no separation between what is within and what we experience. When you wake up to the fact that every experience that you go through is designed specifically for you, you can begin learning the lessons so much quicker. You can grow and expand faster than you have ever done before. Because when a person is so focused on their own suffering, on their own desires, on avoiding pain, that person can do nothing but wallow in their own misery. They are in resistance to life, and so they suffer greatly. But the moment you realize that your experiences are the higher self communicating with you, then you enter into this communion or dialogue with life, with the universe, with God. It's like you and God are there in every situation, and here you are experiencing things, and then you turn to God, that's interesting. And then God says, well, just wait. Here's a new experience that you will now go through. Here's a new person that will break your heart. Here is a new person that will break your heart. And then we get caught up in our own drama and, oh, why is this happening to me? Life is so miserable and I'm suffering. But then God says, no, remember who you are. You are not this limited form. You are not this tiny, feeble human being. You are the limitless, the eternal soul. Me and you are one. All of life is a journey of self-discovery, of awakening. As you become more aware, as you develop this relationship with life, with the universe, with God, with your higher self, you will be more able to hear its voice. You will be able to discern the messages, and you will be open to receive them. And so the best way to develop this relationship is simply to ask. You can call upon God for guidance, for answers, and for wisdom. And you open yourself up to have a communication with this higher power. And in doing so, you allow the higher self to nurture you, to expand you, to help you grow to the highest version of yourself. Congratulations. The true game of life has just begun. You have ascended to a higher state of consciousness.